Welcome to the Pass the Test e-brochure. We'd like to take a couple of minutes and show you what you can expect to see from an online class, and to a large extent what you can expect to see from an on-site class, since we do use so much PowerPoint in the live classes now as well. When we discuss debt securities, we'd like to start with the concept. Makes it easier for students to then deal with all the yield issues and the vocabulary of debentures and subordinated debentures. Before we dive into that, we like to make sure the concept is understood. So an issuer like Frank and Emma's Fruit Pies, instead of doing an IPO where they sell off an ownership stake in the company, they can issue a debt security, which means obviously they're going to go into debt to do this, but they're going to borrow money from investors. Investors are going to provide money in exchange for bond certificates. These don't give the investors a percentage of ownership. What they do is state a rate of interest that will be paid each year. In my example, it's 4 cents on the dollar, or 4%. So if a bond has par value of 1,000, these investors are going to receive $40 a year per bond, 4 cents on the dollar. If they have, let's see, $1 million invested here, they would receive $40,000 a year. When the bonds mature, the par value of 1,000 is paid out. So a debt security investor is looking for a stated rate of interest, a much more steady ride than what's out there in common stock. And if everything goes as planned and Frank and Emma's is a good credit risk, they're going to get paid on time and they're going to get the $1,000 back at the end. And that's really all you're looking for when you invest in a debt security. Also called using leverage on the test. When a company issues a lot of debt, they're using leverage. We talk about tax deferral in a few instances when we talk about annuities and 529 plans and retirement plans. We also like to get the concept down here. If you're saving for retirement in a regular taxable account, as you try to grow your nest egg, whenever you receive dividends, capital gains, or bond interest, in most cases you end up having to pay tax. Well, that would shrink your nest egg, and so it takes too long for your money to grow. So since taxation is so detrimental to your nest egg, if we can use a tax-deferred account, that can stand as a barrier, push the tax off, tax deferral, and now, since you don't have to deplete your principal each year paying the tax bill, your nest egg can grow faster that way. Qualifying rollover as opposed to a transfer. If you leave a job where you have a 401k, you could just have that custodian cut a check to the IRA custodian where you're going to set up the new account. But to do a qualifying rollover means that the individual says, no, liquidate the account and cut me the check. So the 401k plan custodian actually liquidates the positions, cuts the check in the name of this individual. This individual is later going to cut a check to the IRA custodian to fund the new IRA account. Since it's a qualifying rollover, remember that he has to complete that within 60 days, and he can only do one per year. If he doesn't complete it within 60 days, they're going to call this money an early distribution. Then there's going to be that 10% penalty, plus ordinary income, plus a lot of paperwork and hassles he probably doesn't want to do. So remember that you can do one qualifying rollover per year, and you must complete it within 60 days. Transfers are different. Those are unlimited between custodians. Okay. When we do options, you know, we must be on the Series 7 if we're going to this detail, but a debit spread, notice how the word debit has 5 letters and so does the word widen. And what the investor wants in a debit spread is for the options to become more valuable, and as that happens, the difference between the options increases or widens. We're not sure you need to be able to visualize all of that or even understand all of that. If you can, that's great. But you do need to associate the word debit with widen. And remember that in a debit spread, whether it's call or put, in either case, if it's a debit spread, the investor wants the options to become more valuable. And as that happens, the difference between them will widen. Widen and exercise go together too. That could also get you a couple of test questions right. Just like we find out in the Midwest during our long winters, if you widen, you end up having to exercise. So the investor of a debit spread wants the spread to widen. He would also profit if both options end up being exercised. Go in the money. Why is this a debit spread? Because we see that he's paying more than he's taking in. Remember that a spread is to buy and sell calls or puts. Well, he's paying 5 and he's only taking in 2. So the difference there is obviously 3. What he wants is for the stock to go up in this case, and that would make the premiums change drastically. The right to buy the stock at 50 would be worth 17. The right to buy it or call it at 60 would be worth 7. So the options become more valuable, and notice how their difference widens. They used to be 3 apart. Now they're 10 apart. And as we'll see when we do the actual lesson on spreads under multiple options, this investor actually makes the difference between 3 and 10. He makes 7, which is also going to be his maximum gain. But hopefully by using some animation and also some video clips here and there and all the other tools that are afforded us under PowerPoint, we can take the concepts that really need to be illustrated and make them come alive for you. We should also take a look at the Past the 7 website. There may be some products that can boost your score. A lot of companies provide particular materials. Maybe they have a big volume discount at a very large firm. As you can see, we also provide books, audio lectures on CD, practice questions, and we're doing this particular e-brochure for a group in the New Hampshire area, and you will see in a few days actually there's going to be a new link here for the DVD. So that'll be up probably for many people by the time you actually even view this e-brochure, but going forward that will be up, and that will be maybe 20 different lessons that you can view and listen to at your own pace and on your own schedule. So that's going to replace the need for a live class for a lot of people. But in any case, no matter what you already have, you may like to read the Series 7 in plain English. That's what our full book is. And I believe the price right now is $75. We need to update the cover. It's actually a much more exciting cover than that. We just had a web designer insert whatever he had on file, obviously. But we have the book. The audio CDs are a good complement to whatever you have. It's about a little more than 6 hours of lecture. Disc 3 is entirely on options. You even can have 10 questions emailed to you that you can look at, not while you're driving please, but you can look at while we're breaking those down for you. A lot of people across the country are listening to this on the long commute there and back each day, or if you're an insurance agent you might have a little bit of driving to do throughout your day, so you might enjoy the audio lectures on CD. If you haven't purchased any other product, you might just want to test the waters with some practice questions. We even have it in printed bound book form. This is a lot of good material with a lot of detailed explanations for $55. And for a lot of people it's simpler to just buy the full package where you get the book, the audio lectures we looked at. We also add final exams on CD. We're currently using Securities Institute, so that's kind of like a second opinion. And also we have many more additional practice questions that we've written. Ours are still in PDF format just because we're focusing more on audio book and the DVD, which for Series 7 will probably be available right as you hear this, if not right then, a few days later. But again, just pastthe7.com. And what a lot of people are doing, no matter if they bought or didn't buy, is to attend our Friday free broadcast. We're giving the times as Chicago or Central Time, but every Friday at 11 a.m. Central, which is noon on the East Coast, as you can see, we do a Friday free broadcast primarily for Series 7, and often it also fits for 65. But recently it was equity securities, and here you can see in a few days it's going to be debt securities, and the following Friday we're going to break down MSRB rules by going over the first 20 here, and then the last Friday of this April we'll finish up with the second half, because there are 41 MSRB rules and it's all crucial for the exam. Well, hopefully we've given you an introduction to what the online classes would look like, and a large part of what an on-site class will look like, since we use a lot of PowerPoint. And also feel free to go to pastthe7.com either to stay on top of the Friday free broadcasts or to purchase the audio lectures or the DVD. Thanks for your time.